Welcome back. Three the hard way. My name is Tariq Rashad. Need a haircut.
You ugly.
Got married man Rob, and over here looking dapper. Kobe in the background. Shout out to Kobe Bryant. His anniversary of his birthday just passed. And we got John. What you going by today?
I'm just John today, man.
That's John today, rocking the little TJs and the young boy hairstyle. Twist with the three the hard way shirt on. Kevin Durant, Team USA in the background, celebrating gold. Everybody feeling good today?
Yeah, man. It's a good day in the neighborhood, man. It's a good day in the neighborhood.
That ass.
That ass, B.
Yeah, because I'm from New York City, goddammit.
Respectfully.
We're going to give y'all some basketball talk, some football talk today. Starting with the NBA, and we have a lot of debates. If you haven't been watching, check us out on Instagram Live. I'm Sophisticated Ignorance, Honcho Hunter, Rob, and Jay Hunter John. We've been discussing every NBA team by team, on a twice a week basis, Tuesday and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Again, I'm plugging again. Check us out. And we've done a few teams, and we've had some really good conversations. And one of the conversations we wanted to have today was what we thought were the biggest pieces to building a team. As we talked over Brooklyn and Boston and Atlanta and Charlotte, Chicago, we realized that they have different qualities. Their star players don't necessarily come from the same point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center position. And we wanted to discuss what we thought is the best makeup of a team, and then who we thought would be the prime players in that position. So what two positions would you start your team with? If you were the GM of a team and you had expansion rights to grab a player, who are you looking for and why?
This is a tough one, man. For me, I'm gonna take easy way out, and I'm gonna dive into what I really think. So I'm gonna say wing and power forward. Mm-hmm. Right? I think those are the two most. If you get dominant players at those positions, you definitely put yourself in a championship contention. And when I say wing, I mean like small forward, shooting guard. But I'm going to lean towards the small forward position here. I think that the game has expanded to where there are small forwards who can also facilitate the offense, which would be that wing position, kind of what you need. And then you need that versatile big man, power forward. That's why I said power forward as opposed to center. I like in today's NBA how like you need space on the court. Space is more important than ever. And having shooting out of that power forward position really can be like the fulcrum point of your team. So I'm going to go small forward and power forward, but really just a wing and a power forward.
Two things you hit on there. One, I wondered, when you say wing, if you are standing your truth, do you believe that the position is no longer as simple as shooting guard, small forward, but if you have the right wing players, that it's not really about that 1 through 5? Does it exist? Is it still a 1 through 5? Is that the NBA that we're looking at, or has it actually evolved to something else?
I think it's a one wing 4-5, like, and the 4
1 wing 4-5.
But you do look like players like a Devin Booker, like a James Harden, who aren't necessarily small forwards, but they are wings. So like I don't want to necessarily bunch them in with like the Carmelo, or the Giannis's, or the who else are the wings today? The LeBron Jameses of the world, and the Paul Georges and the Kawhi Leonards. And I think like I would consider Paul George a wing as opposed to a shooting guard or a small forward, but I would consider Kawhi a small forward who plays the wing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And John, I want to get you in on this conversation too. And I'll ask you this, like I've seen, and I'm mentioning this because I've noticed it, a lot of players, when they get further on in their career, the ones that played the wing, they convert to power forward, even those that aren't the size of a power forward. You know, you have the ones like LeBron James, who was always a 3, and Carmelo Anthony, who was always a 3. As they got toward the back end of their careers, their 12 plus years, they've been more 4s. LeBron James has even ventured into the 1 position. Giannis, another one where you can't really Is he a 3? Is he a 4? Where did he start? Where is he at now? And then I look at someone like DeMar DeRozan, who they're contemplating playing at the 4 in Chicago. And it's like in our generation of when we were watching it when it was in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, that's unheard of. A 6'7", 6'4", not against Dirk, not against Kevin Garnett, not against, those type of caliber players, not against Tim Duncan. And now it seems like that size has changed. So, John, I raised the same question to you. What are the two positions you think are most most important to build a team with? And do you feel like it's still a 1 through 5 league, or has it changed?
I think the league is changing from you play the 1, somebody plays the 2, somebody plays the 3 to what's your style of play and how does it fit into our offense? And can you fill a certain position? Draymond Green is a 6'6" center guard. Like, he doesn't have a size or a position. He just plays a role. And I think that each team has certain roles that they want to fill, and they fill it with people who can play that role. If DeMar DeRozan is 6'7" and their 4 is going to look like a 5 out, 4 out, 1 in, is he really playing a 4 or is he playing an additional wing? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's really positionless basketball going into that realm. Like, some teams don't have that, some teams try to do that and it's not successful. Like, for example, with Boston Celtics, right? Where, you just got a Jaylen Brown and you have a Jason Tatum who's a 3, but you have him at the 4, and sometimes you have him at the 5. It's like, well, what's going on there?
And you say he's a 3, but he's built. I mean, he's 6'9". This 4s. He has a post-up game, but what makes him a 3? But and also continue what you were going with. What makes him a 3 other than the fact that it is an attempt at positionless basketball?
I think a 3 is more of a person that can handle the ball / score, defend multiple positions, and run the floor. I think that would define a 3. A 2 is more of a guy who can kind of play on the ball and bring the ball up, shoot, score, and defend maybe 1 through 3. But like, being a 3, you're supposed to be, like, in my opinion, you're supposed to be able to defend 1 through 4. And when you're playing a 2, you defend 1 through 3. Like, that's kind of my differentiation between the 2 and the 3.
And nowadays, you're saying that's not there anymore. Someone like Jason Tatum is playing the 3 or the 4, having to defend sometimes 1 through 5.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So with that being said, how would I build my team, and I think it's tried and true, is point guard and small forward. If you look at it over the last 5 years, right? Golden State era, you had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and LeBron's team where he won with Cleveland. You had Kyrie Irving and LeBron. You go to Toronto, Kyle Lowry, right, and Kawhi Leonard. So, like, the 1 and the 3 positions, those are the most flux positions for a reason, right? Like, because those positions there's so much talent there, and you can control the game from the 1 and from the 3. And I think right now the position that is the most coveted is the 3, and then following that as a point guard. Like, if you look at the Knicks, right, we talked about why did the Knicks get scores? They didn't have a point guard. Just being honest, right? He couldn't score, he couldn't shoot, couldn't create on the floor. When you go to the Lakers, right? What was the Lakers downfall this year? They didn't have a point guard, so they went and got Russell Westbrook. So those are the two positions that you want to build your franchises around. Even when you go to the Clippers, right? They got Paul George and they got Kawhi Leonard, but they went to grab Eric Bledsoe. So it's like you need as much as we want to covet the 2 and the 3 position as the wings. Everybody's starting to understand that you need a point guard. Prime example, Phoenix Suns didn't have Chris Paul last year. He comes into the locker room, brings leadership, controls the game, and they go to the finals, right? So
I want to get Rob back in here, and I want to say that off rip, I do agree with you, John. If I had to build my team, it would be 1 and 3. I think those are the most important positions. But to its credit, the last 2 champions were 3 and 4 with Chris Middleton and Giannis, and then LeBron and AD. So
I would disagree with
Rob.
I would disagree with the Chris Middleton and Giannis, because without Drew Holiday, they don't win that.
Absolutely. But when it comes to putting the ball in the basket and the most dominant players, you had one guy average 28 points a game, and you had one guy average 30 plus points a game. As good as Drew Holiday was, as good as Drew Holiday is and how important he was down the stretch, wouldn't it be fair to say that if Giannis doesn't win MVP, then Chris Middleton does? Like he would be second in that list, or is that not who they built their team around?
I just think it's very interesting how John loves to say that point guards don't win until they're late in their careers. And then he goes to say that he wants to build teams around point guards. I just think that's very interesting.
Point guards and small forwards.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead, Rob. Defend the 3-4 because I want to jump back in here.
So for me, like you can get a player like a LeBron who can be your primary facilitator and they just need a secondary playmaker at that point guard position. You look at teams like Miami when they won with Mario Chalmers, right? They had the wings and they had the big, right? You look at the Lakers when Kobe was there, they had Kobe and Powell, right? You look at the Mavs when they won a championship, right? I'm just saying, like there is some truth to what you're saying, but I just don't think that the point guard position is the position that you build around to win the championship. Now, if you want to be relevant and have regular season relevancy, absolutely, 110%, right? But when you look at the Warriors and you look at when they lost, who did they attack? They didn't attack Clay. The Cavaliers didn't attack Clay. They didn't attack Draymond. They didn't attack Harris Barnes. They went right at Steph Curry's neck. They did every screen on Steph Curry's neck. Granted, he was, to me, the most important player on that team. But I don't think that team wins championships without the wing players of Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, for whatever reason, and Draymond Green at the 4. Because, like, to me, that's the power forward position shows you what type of offense you're going to be playing, right? And I think, like, whoever you have in that position, if they're versatile enough to do multiple things, to be a facilitator, to be a secondary playmaker like Draymond Green is, then you really have something. Or when you look at the Lakers with Anthony Davis, where you got somebody who's just an all-world defender, can defend 1 through 5. Now you got a brick wall defensively. You can go small ball and put him at the 5, and you got a depth lineup. Some like the Nets is trying to do right now with Kevin Durant at the 4.
Respectfully.
But I digress.
I agree with both of you. I think 3 and 4 dynamic is really important. I'm looking to see a 2-3 reign like the Miami days, but that's far in between. But we only have a little bit of time left, so I do want to move on to our last basketball topic. And we do a lot of what ifs here. We've done a lot of what ifs on our live sessions. And if KD doesn't go here, or if LeBron doesn't lose this, then he's that. And if Jordan doesn't receive, or Robert Horry doesn't do so, we wanted to just bring up what we think are the biggest what ifs in history, and what we thought would have changed, what course it would have been had these things not happened, or had these things actually have been accomplished. So
I'm gonna go with going back to my theory about the point guard position. If Kobe Bryant were to play with Chris Paul, we would have this conversation of who, like, we would be having a Kobe Jordan conversation. It wouldn't be a LeBron Jordan conversation. I think that Kobe would have won at least. He would have three-peated easily. They get Chris Paul, Powell, Kobe.
Wouldn't have had Powell. Would have traded Powell on that one. But would have kept Odom, I think.
Even if you get CP3, Kobe, and Odom and Bynum, oh my God! Like, could you imagine? Like, could you imagine what if Kobe won 2 more chips? If he would have got 7.
Very interesting. I will say, just to be a devil's advocate and be a degenerate and troll, he did get Steve Nash, and he did nothing with him. And Steve Nash is the MVP. But I digress.
Steve Nash wasn't in his prime. We're talking about Chris Paul in his prime with the Hornets. With Kobe in his prime.
It was more Chris Paul right before his prime. Chris Paul hadn't even peaked yet.
Oh yeah, he would be entering.
I don't think he peaked with the Hornets. I think he peaked with the Clippers. He would have peaked.
He would have been entering his prime
with Kobe, right?
I like that one though, John, man. Especially because, like, it's one of those moves that it happened. It's just the NBA didn't allow it to happen, which is something that we can never forget. I remember I was in college. I went to practice. I was so happy. Chris Paul was a Laker. It was over. Practice is done. I look at my phone. Trade rescinded. Like what? What kind
All
of?
about that.
So I like that one. My what if is what if Oklahoma City decided to go with James Harden as opposed to Serge Ibaka. I'm always like that move, that decision is one of those that like changed NBA history. Granted, they all three of those players, Harden, Westbrook, and Durant, became MVPs and went on to become Hall of Famers individually and have great individual success. Kevin Durant, the only one to have team success so far. But listen, that team was in the finals the year before. It was those three that led them there. And they just made a decision to go with the power forward.
They went with the power forward. I'll play some more devil's advocate. They went with the power forward because they felt, and as an OKC fan at the time, I also felt that Serge Ibaka was the key to beating the Spurs and the Lakers and the Mavericks and those teams that had diabolical fours that would put a series away with Pau Gasol, Tim Duncan, and Dirk Nowitzki. We had to beat those three teams to make it to the championship that previous year. So I understand why they did it. I'll double down with you, Rob, and say, what if they just wait to the end of the season, see if they can negotiate with James Harden, maybe negotiate with Serge Ibaka. Both of them are on rookie deals. Like both of them are unrestricted free agents. But I digress. My moment also deals with OKC, and I try to keep Kevin Durant out of things as much as possible. I don't want to sound like I'm talking down about him. But what if Kevin Durant not necessarily doesn't leave OKC? What if Kevin Durant doesn't go to the Warriors? Does he still win championships? If he does, how is his legacy impacted now? If he wins 2 championships with the Clippers, are we really having a conversation about who's the best player? If he wins 2 championships with his hometown team, if he's able to bring that type of hype to them, I'll always wonder or if they do stay in OKC, the dynasty that never was, would him, Serge Ibaka, and Serge Ibaka and Russell Westbrook, would they have been able to go back? What pieces do they get to add to that? So that's probably my biggest one. And because we're out of time, I won't go into my other one, but we'll be back with some football talk on the next slide. Check us out. 3 to Heart.